Okay, so today we will see next 5 question related to the PD exam, that is the Google Professional Data Engineering exam. So we will see from question number 21 to 25. So let's read question number 21. So your company uses a proprietary system to send inventory data every 6 hours to a data ingestion service in the cloud. Okay, so we have one company, fine, and that company send inventory data, that is some database, every 6 hours. So it is not a like real time data, so the data will send after every 6 hours via the ingestion service into the cloud. Okay, so first we need to know like what is the ingestion service. So data ingestion service has like two service in the cloud in the GCP, that is the one is the data flow and second is the Dataproc. So data ingestion service in the cloud. So data ingestion is the data flow or Dataproc, which like can be used to take the data from the source and then put into some destination table by doing some transformation. And the same thing is like happening here. Our company is sending the data from the inventory data system, that is some source, and it is sending out like data every 6 hours and using the data ingestion service, whether it is a data flow or Dataproc doesn't matter, like, and in the cloud. So in the cloud the destination could be like BigQuery or any destination. Like now transmitted data includes a payload of several fields. Okay, the data which we are transmitting has the payload. The payload means it is like has some rows and the timestamp. Also we have the timestamp linked for the particular transmission. If there are any concerns about the transmission, the system retransmit the data. So let's suppose if there is any concern, then what will system do? It will retransmit the data. So our system is designed in such a way. How should you deduplicate the data most efficiency? So deduplicate means we need to make sure that there should not be a duplicate entry in our destination, right? So what we can do? So first thing is that assign global unique identifier of each data entry. So they have mentioned what we will do. We will assign a global ID to each data entry. So we have like some data, right, and we have some payload fields. So we have some field like name, first name, last name, address, and we have some timestamp field of the transaction. So they told that do one thing, assign a new field, that is the ID field, to each data entry. Okay, so we will look at this option. So if we see assign assign a unique ID to each data entry, then maybe like we can like stop the duplicate. Okay, because ID generally is a unique key field. But let's look at the other option as well. Compute the hash value of each data entry. Okay, so they told that do one thing, whatever the data is coming, compute a hash value and compute it and compare it with all the historical data. So we will not like this option like might work. Let's suppose there is a one row come, right? What we will do is we will calculate a hash. So and let's suppose we have already inserted 100 rows into the data. So we will compare the particular hash with all the 100 rows which we already inserted. So if the hash matches, then we will think okay, it is a like a duplicate data and we will notice it. But we will not this process like might work, but definitely work, but this is like very computational, right? Because first we need to calculate the hash for each data row, and then okay, calculating the hash is not a problem, but compare with all the historical data. So it is not a recommended, right? So if we have trillions of data, so for every new record will we compare with all the trillions of data? No. So it is very computational. So we will, this is not recommended. So B option is wrong. Store each data entry as the primary key in a separate database and apply an index. So they told that okay, do one thing, apply store each data entry in a separate database and apply an index. So this is also like took more storage and more work, so this is also wrong. The third is like maintain a database table to store the hash value and other metadata for each data entry. So do one thing, like in the destination table, because our data is coming from one source and it is passing through the ingestion service and it is storing into the cloud. So whatever we have the the database, what we will do, one thing, we will like maintain a database table, maintain a database table to store the hash value. So what we will do, we will store a hash value and other data, other metadata for each data entry. So let's suppose one row came, so we store the that particular row and we also store the hash of that row. Then second row came, so we try to suppose the second row which now came is duplicate. Now we try to store, and when we try to store the hash value, so the hash will be the same as of the earlier row, so the particular data will be get rejected because it is a duplicate row. So this looks also like a good approach. So now we have like option number A and option number D, which looks okay. Even option number B is like okay, but it is like a very computational work, so B we will rejected. C is also rejected. So we have the A option and D option. Out of A and D, I would prefer to go with the D, because they said that assign a global unique identifier to each data entry. So in this, what we need to do is within the source itself, right, we need to assign a a GUID to each data entry, or either we can store a assign global unique identity to each data entry. Okay, to store to each data entry. Yeah, option A and option D looks okay to me, but I would prefer to go with the D. And if we reveal the answer, they said that the option number D is perfectly okay. And if we go to the discussion tab, most of the people say D, but it is a mixture of A and D. Few people say D and a few people say A, and they have given their own justification. Most of the people say D, right, and some people say A, answer is A. So why people say answer is A? Because they thought that in the between we are using the pub sub. So in the pub sub we have the there is no need to manually assign a ID to the data, and pub sub we have the a corresponding unique ID for each and every message. But as per me, in the question there is no concept of the pub sub, because it is not a stream or real time data, it is a batch data, right, because we are sending in the data at every 6 hours. So there is no need to use a pub sub. We can just directly use the source, we can use the data ingestion service, and we can send into the cloud. So if we directly send into the cloud, then we can maintain a database hash into the database. So D is perfectly works for me. Okay, question number 22. Your company has hired a new data scientist, okay, so who wants to perform complicated analysis, okay, across a very large dataset in a Google Cloud storage and in a Cassandra cluster on a compute engine. Okay, fine. So we have one data scientist and they want to do some operation on a very large dataset, and this large dataset stored in the Google Cloud storage bucket and also on the Cassandra database, and Cassandra database is on the our compute engine, that is on the virtual machine. The scientist primarily wants to create a label data such as the machine learning project, okay, and along with some visualization tasks. So scientists want to perform some to transform the data, right, so that the particular data can be used for the machine learning project. And also the scientists want to perform some visualization, using matplotlib, maybe using to draw some visualization graphs. So but the scientist told that her laptop is not powerful, so the particular scientist can't use his personal laptop. like we want to help her, what we would suggest. So shall we suggest run a local version of Jupyter on the laptop? Definitely no, because in the question itself it is mentioned that her laptop is not powerful to handle a very large data set, and it will slow down the process. And in the question number 1 say that we will suggest to her use your own laptop. No, we will definitely not suggest her. So option A is totally wrong. Grant the user access to the Google Cloud Shell. So they told that okay, do one thing, we have the Google Cloud Shell, right? So when we activate the Google Cloud Shell, automatically a VM of persistent 5 GB disk is available to us. So shall we use the Google Cloud Shell for the work? So definitely not, because it only allow the 5 GB, plus along with that we need to install so many softwares over it. So we will not use this. Third thing is the host a visualization tool on a VM on a Google. Okay, the third option is okay, do one thing, create a VM engine of any CPU which we want as per our requirement, and install some visualization tool like Matplotlib tool or any visualization tool on it. So can we suggest this? So we can suggest this, but let's look at the option number D. Deploy Google Cloud Data Lab on a virtual machine on a Google compute engine. So option D looks perfectly okay as compared to C. If we have to compare from option C and option D, I will go with the option D, because here we have mentioned we will deploy the Cloud Data Lab, and Cloud Data Lab is a specific service which is only and only used for the machine learning task, like some visualization task. Let me show you. If I go to the Cloud Data Lab, so see, Cloud Data Lab is used to explore, to analyze, to transform, to visualize data. So it will do all the things for us, and also it will install the Jupyter notebook. So we have to just install the Cloud Data Lab and everything will be done for us. And Cloud Data Lab can be installed on the VM as well, because if you look at the official documentation, it has mentioned that Cloud Data Lab is a package. We can run it as a container as well, and we can run it on a VM as well. So because in the question it is mentioned we need to perform some labeling on the data set, and some also visualization. So Cloud Data Lab is perfectly work, rather than installing some other tool, some other visualization tool. So better to use the Google recommended, that is the Cloud Data Lab, which will provide everything within a single tool. So option number D is correct, but here they have given option number B, which is wrong. If we go to the discussion community, so most of the people say option number D. So option number D is correct. Okay. Question number 23. You are deploying a 10,000 new Internet of Things devices to collect temperature data in your warehouse globally. Okay. You need to process, store and analyze data in a real time. Okay. What should you do? So there you are deploying 10,000. So we are deploying a IoT devices like maybe mobiles, fridge, AC, so many things. There we have 10,000 devices, and we want to collect the temperature of all 10,000 devices, and we want to store the temperature in some warehouse. Warehouse means BigQuery, right? And you need to process. So we need to process the data, we need to store the data, we need to analyze the data in a real time. So we need to find the first keyword. What should you do? So they have mentioned send the data to the Google Cloud Data Store and then export to the BigQuery. So BigQuery is okay, we can store into the BigQuery, but we will not use the Google Cloud Data Store, because it is mentioned here we need to analyze the data, we need to store the data in a real time. So for the real time we will never use the Google Cloud Data Store. Okay, send the data to the Cloud PubSub. So PubSub is definitely okay for the real time. Stream PubSub data to the Cloud Data Flow. Okay, and then store the data into the Google BigQuery. So B definitely look okay to me. So send the data to the cloud storage. So first we need to the cloud storage and spin up the Apache Hadoop Why we will like spin up the different machine, Apache, Hadoop, and even there is no concept of the BigQuery here, right? So send the data to the cloud storage, so nothing related to the BigQuery, because even we in the question we have mentioned warehouse. So warehouse is only one tool, that is the BigQuery. So option C is rejected. Export logs in batch to the Google Cloud Storage and then spin up a Google Cloud SQL instance and then import the data from cloud storage. But here we have mentioned warehouse, so Google Cloud SQL is not a warehouse, so option D is also wrong. So out of option A and option B, because it is mentioned in real time, so for the real time we will use the Cloud PubSub, and first we will like insert the data, send the data to the Cloud PubSub, and using the Cloud Data Flow pipelines we will like sync the data to the Google BigQuery. So everything will be like satisfying, while the option number B. If you go to the discussion tab, so most of the people see option number B. Question number 24. Okay, it's a little bit large question. So you have spent a few days loading data from comma separated files into the Google BigQuery table this. So always remember one thing, when you read the question, just note down the keywords. So for they have mentioned we have spent a few days. We already spent a few days to loading the CSV file into the Google BigQuery. So in the Google BigQuery we created a one table, that is a clickstream table, and we have loaded the CSV file, and to load the CSV file into the Google BigQuery we already spent so many days. The column DT, there is a one column with the name DT in that particular table, stores the epoch time of click events. Okay, doesn't matter whatever it stores. For convenience you choose a simple schema and treat it as string type. Okay, so when we create a table, there is a one column, that is a DT, and for our convenience we like put like a data type as a string. Okay, now you want to compute a web session duration of a user who visited the site, and we want to change the data type to timestamp. Okay, fine. So now earlier we store the data in a form of string, right? But now we want to compute the duration. So duration means the data should be in the timestamp format, right? But we have the data in the string format. So now you want to change the data into the timestamp, right? So you want to minimize the migration effort without knowing without making future requeries computationally expensive. So first, okay, they told that how we will convert the string into timestamp, and what is the minimized way, like so the effort should be very minimized. And also we need to make sure that whatever the future data will come, or future query, if we run future query, it should not be computationally expensive. What should you do without making, so the computation query should not be expensive? What should you do? So first they told that delete the table, recreate the table, and this time recreate the table with that rather than string stacked as a timestamp, and reload the data. So this will definitely work, but we will not select the option number A. Why? Because they said that you want to minimize the migration effort, and we already spent a lot of days while loading the data. Does it mean whatever the data we have already loaded, we will first delete the table, then we recreate the table using the correct schema, and then reload the data? Again we will spend a lot of day, right? And so this will not minimize our effort. This will even again put our more efforts. So this is wrong. Second option is add a column TS of the timestamp type to the table clickstream. Okay, they told that let's suppose we have the 4 columns, and we will create a one more column in the TS. Okay, fine. And populate the numeric data to the column TS for each row. Okay, reference the column TS instead of the column DT, and from now on. Okay, so they told that what we will do is we will create a one more column TS, but this time for the timestamp data type. So we are altering the existing table, and what we will do is we will populate the data from DT column to the TS column, right? And if we have to run any query in the future, we will refer the TS column rather than the DT column. So this will perfectly okay, but one thing is missing here. So when they told that we need to populate the numeric data, They have not mentioned that whether we have to use any function for that is the conversion function, that is the cast function, parse function, that is the parse timestamp function. So they have not mentioned, they just mention populate the data, data from the dt to the timestamp column. So other, if they mention that we will like while loading the data from dt column to the ts column, we will like use the casting function, use the parse timestamp function, then this option will be definitely okay. But let's leave this option for the time being. Third option is create a view. Okay, we will create a view where string from the column dt are cast into the timestamp values and reference the clickstream view instead of the table. Okay, so they told that we will create a view name, and within the view we have like one query, that is like a selected dt column, and we will like cast into the timestamp column, and rather than referring to the table, we will run any query to the view. This will definitely work, but migration effort is minimum, but computational effort is more and more expensive. Let's suppose if we have to run the query 5 times, so all the 5 times like within, because view only holds the query, view doesn't hold the data. So whenever we run the view, it will internally run the query. So every time it will run the cast function for across all the data sets. So it will be very expensive. So if we run the query 10 times, so it will run the cast function 10 times, so it will be more computation expensive. So definitely we will not use the option number C. Okay, let's look at the option number D and E. So A is definitely wrong, C is definitely wrong. So add 2 columns to the table clickstream, ts of the timestamp time, and is new to. Okay, they told that rather than the 1 column, we will add 2 column, one is the ts and one is the is new. Reload all the data in the append mode for each appended row. So set the value is new to true for queries reference to the column where the is new must be true. Okay, so this will also work, but this is like again like it's a more migration effort because we are reloading all the data. So which is wrong. They told that in the existing table what we will do is we will create a two new columns, one is ts and one is new, and what we will do is we will reload all the data and in the appended mode. So we have already let's suppose 1 trillion records, we will again reload 1 trillion records, and for the all the new trillion records we will like set the is new as a true, that is these are the new records which we loaded, and if we want to run the query we will use the where clause, and so that the is new is true, so that it will like only search in the newly appended data. But we are duplicating the data because we have already one set of data, and again we are loading the same set of data. We are duplicating the data. Other thing is we are like reloading all the data. We already spent a lot of days, right? In the question, in the first line itself, we already spent a lot of this. So we are not minimizing the migration effort. So D is totally wrong. So A, C, D totally wrong. So construct a query, okay, to return every row of the table clickstream while using the built-in function to cast string from the column dt into timestamp values. Okay, run the query into a destination table new clickstream. Construct a query to return. Okay, so they told that first do one thing, construct a query, that is the select star from the table name clickstream, and also like we will like cast the column dt into the timestamp. Perfectly okay. Then run the query into the destination table. So what it will do is like it will create a new table, new clickstream, and it will load all the data from clickstream to the new clickstream. So we are not loading the external data from the outside, we are just creating a new table within the BigQuery, and from the existing table we are copying the data into the new table. So the query will definitely run within a microsecond. And now what we will do is we will like refer the new clickstream data, and even for the future data, if we want to load the future data, we will load the data into the new clickstream. So this will definitely work, because we in the migration we are taking only seconds, because we are just creating a new table, and we are loading the data from clickstream to the new clickstream, and while loading the data we are like casting the data into the timestamp, and in the new table we have the timestamp type. Second thing is that, so migration is very low. Second thing is that like if we have to rerun the query, that is the future query, we will use the new clickstream table. So computation is not expensive, because now we are not like using the casting function again and again, because we are running the query into the new table. Third thing is that if we need to load the future data, so we will just load the data into the new clickstream rather than the clickstream. Only disadvantage is that we have the two tables now, one is the clickstream and one is the new clickstream, so we have to pay some extra cost, though we will like decrease the cost by deleting the clickstream. So out of option B and option A, option A is perfectly okay, because in option number B there is nothing mentioned like that we need to cast the column, because it is mentioned just populate the numeric value to the TS column. So how to populate, whether we need to cast or not, it is not mentioned, right? So option A is perfectly okay, but here it is given option D, which is wrong. So option A is correct. If we look to the community tab, discussion community tab, so option A is perfectly okay. Now go to the last question. So you want to use the Google Stackdriver logging to monitor the Google BigQuery usage. Okay, so Google Stackdriver logging is one of the facility to log every service data. Stack logging, like Stackdriver logging, we can use with any service, whether it is a VM log we want to log, or the Google BigQuery, or anything. You need an instant notification to be sent out the monitoring tool, okay, when new data is appended to a certain table using an insert job, but you do not want to receive notification for the other tables. Okay, so it has been mentioned that whenever we have the BigQuery, okay, and we have so many tables, okay, they told that do one thing: if a data get appended using an insert job in one table, in a particular table, you should get a message via the monitoring tool, but you should not get the message for the other table. So how should you do? Okay, so they told that make a call to the Stackdriver API to all the logs and make an advanced filter. Okay, so this is wrong, because they told that do one thing: whatever all the operation is happening in the BigQuery, log into the Stackdriver API. That is perfectly okay, and apply a advanced filter. Okay, we will apply a filter for the particular table. Okay, then after that there is nothing mentioned about the monitoring tool, right? So but we have logged the option, we have applied the filter, but how we will get the monitor like alert, right? So nothing is mentioned that, right? So option A is wrong. It is not wrong, but it is like partially like a given, so we will not select the option A. Second is, in the Stackdriver logging admin interface, enable a log sync export to the BigQuery. It is wrong, because it told that okay, do one thing, we will store the logs into the BigQuery. So if we store the logs into the BigQuery, how we will know that whether the log is for we are, first thing is that we are not getting any alert, we are not using any monitoring tool. Second thing is that we are not putting any filter for which table we want the particular alert. So option B is wrong. In the third, in the Stackdriver logging admin interface, export a log sync export to the Google Cloud PubSub. Okay, subscribe to the topic from your monitoring tool. Okay, fine. So first we will took all the logs, fine. Then we will export the logs into the Cloud PubSub. Okay, fine. Then we will use a monitoring tool, fine. Now we have the monitoring, but for which table? When we have the all the logs, we are not putting any filter. In the question it has mentioned that we need an alert only for the one table, not for the all the tables. So here we are not putting any filters, so it is partially incorrect, right? So we will not use the option number C. Option number D, using the Stackdriver API, okay, create a project sync with advanced log filter to export PubSub and subscribe to the topic for your monitoring tool. Okay, that is perfectly okay. So option D is okay, because via the Stackdriver API we get all the logs. Now we have all the logs. So let's suppose we have 1000 table in the BigQuery. So in the Stackdriver API we get the logs of all the 1000 API. Now we will create a project sync with the advanced log filter to the PubSub. So we will create a advanced filter and we will export the logs to the PubSub. So we are exporting a log for one table by putting some advanced filter to the PubSub, and as soon as any log come into the PubSub, we will use the monitoring tool. So everything is getting satisfied. We are using the filter because we have to one notification or monitoring for only for one table, fine. We are using the monitoring tool as well, fine. And we are using the logging facility, that is Stackdriver. So option D is perfectly okay. Here it is given option B, which is wrong. If we go to the community tab, so most of the people say option number D. So option D is correct. Yeah, fine. So we have covered 21 to 25 question. Yeah, that's the end of the video. So if you think because all the answer I have shared with you as per my knowledge, and as per the answer given over some other website or some on the discussion community, but if you think any answer is wrong provided by me, so you can correct me. Thank you.